Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The moment he told me to sit on his desk, something shifted between us. Not loudly, not dramatically, but in that quiet, dangerous way a storm gathers behind clear skies. His voice was calm, almost absent-minded, as if it were just another ordinary request between a husband and wife sharing the same space. Yet nothing about the way his eyes lingered felt ordinary. I remember hesitating, fingers brushing the polished wood before I climbed up, pretending I didn't notice how close he stood, or how aware I suddenly became of every breath I took. The room smelled faintly of coffee and paper, work unfinished, conversations avoided, emotions carefully folded away like documents neither of us wanted to sign. He focused on his laptop, typing steadily, but I could feel his attention circling me without looking directly. We had mastered the art of coexistence, shared meals, shared responsibilities, shared silence. Somewhere along the years, affection had turned cautious, like stepping around fragile glass neither of us admitted breaking. I crossed my legs without thinking, a small movement meant only to get comfortable. The chair shifted slightly beneath me. His typing stopped. That was when the air changed. He didn't speak at first. He simply pulled his chair closer, slow enough that I could hear the soft scrape against the floor. Close enough that the warmth of him replaced the cool distance we had learned to keep. My pulse betrayed me instantly. I told myself this was nothing, that married people sat close all the time, that familiarity shouldn't feel forbidden, yet my body refused to listen to reason. There was history between us, unspoken frustrations, missed chances, nights when words almost escaped but never did. We knew each other too well, and somehow not at all. His hand moved casually, almost thoughtfully, like he was testing a boundary neither of us had named. I kept my gaze forward, pretending calm, pretending control, pretending the electricity beneath my skin wasn't real. Outside, life continued normally. Inside that room, time slowed into something intimate and uncertain. And in that fragile moment, balanced between restraint and surrender, I realized the most dangerous thing wasn't what he was doing. It was how badly I wanted him not to stop. His hand hovered for a moment, as if even he wasn't sure what it intended to do. I felt it before I saw it, the subtle shift in air, the warmth moving closer. My breath caught, shallow and quiet, and suddenly the ticking clock on the wall sounded impossibly loud. I didn't move. If I moved, it would mean acknowledging what was happening. And we had spent years pretending nothing complicated existed between us anymore. "You're distracting," he said finally, his voice low, almost amused. I turned my head slightly. "I'm sitting still. That's the problem." A faint smile tugged at his mouth, but his eyes didn't smile. They studied me the way they used to, carefully, like he was trying to understand something fragile without breaking it. For a second, I saw the man I fell in love with, the one who noticed everything I never said aloud. My fingers pressed into the edge of the desk. "You told me to sit here. I didn't realize you'd look at me like that." "I'm not looking at you any differently." He leaned back slightly, searching my face as if testing whether I believed my own words. The silence stretched, thick and charged. Somewhere in the apartment, a distant car horn sounded, grounding us briefly in reality before the moment swallowed us again. His knee brushed mine. Accidental. Maybe. Neither of us pulled away. The contact was small, harmless even, but it sent warmth racing up my spine. I focused on breathing evenly, on keeping my shoulders relaxed, on pretending this closeness wasn't unraveling something carefully buried. "We used to talk more," he murmured. The words landed softly but carried weight. I swallowed. "We still talk. About groceries. Bills. Who forgot to turn off the lights?" His gaze softened. "Not about us." The word hung between us like something forbidden. I looked down at his hands resting near mine on the desk. Strong hands. Familiar hands. Hands that had once reached for me without hesitation. The memory alone made my chest tighten. "We got busy," I said quietly. "That's not the same thing." His fingers shifted slightly, grazing the back of my hand, not gripping, not demanding, just there. The touch felt almost questioning, like he was asking permission without words. Every instinct told me to move away, to laugh it off, to restore the safe distance we knew how to maintain. But I didn't. Instead, I met his eyes fully for the first time since sitting down. Something unspoken passed between us, years of restrained affection, unresolved arguments, missed chances layered beneath a single look. The air felt heavier, warmer, alive with possibility neither of us dared name. He exhaled slowly, voice softer now. "Tell me to stop if this is a mistake." My lips parted, ready to answer. But no words came. My silence answered him before I understood what it meant. His gaze dropped briefly to my lips, then returned to my eyes as if checking whether I noticed. I did. Every nerve in my body noticed. The space between us felt impossibly small now, charged with everything we had avoided saying for years. He didn't move closer. Neither did I. And somehow, that restraint felt more intimate than any touch. "You've been distant," he said quietly, though the words sounded like a confession rather than an accusation. A soft laugh escaped me, fragile and defensive. "I thought you were the one pulling away." His brows knit together. "I was trying not to pressure you." The honesty caught me off guard. My fingers curled slightly against the desk, brushing his again. This time neither of us pretended it was accidental. His thumb shifted just enough to rest against my knuckles, warm, grounding, familiar in a way that made my chest ache. "We stopped trying," I whispered. "No," he said gently. "We stopped risking." The word lingered. Risk meant admitting we still wanted each other. Risk meant reopening conversations we had carefully buried after misunderstandings, long work hours, quiet disappointments, and nights spent lying inches apart but worlds away. Loving each other had never been the problem. Fear of needing too much had been. His chair rolled a fraction closer. My heartbeat stumbled. For a moment, neither of us spoke. His face softened, studying me as if memorizing details he already knew, the curve of my cheek, the hesitation in my expression, the way I breathed when nervous. He lifted a hand slowly, giving me time to stop him. I didn't. His fingers brushed a strand of hair away from my face, lingering just long enough to send warmth spreading through me. The touch was gentle, almost careful, like he was handling something breakable. I leaned forward without realizing it. Just slightly. Close enough to feel his breath. Close enough that one more inch would erase every distance we had built. And that was when reality broke through. What if nothing changes? I asked, voice barely audible. What if we try again and end up right back here? His expression shifted, not hurt, but understanding. The question carried all the weight of our history, promises made when life was easier, affection slowly replaced by routine, the quiet fear that wanting each other again might only lead to another loss. His hand stilled against my cheek. He didn't pull away. But he didn't close the distance either. I think, he said softly, we've both been pretending we stopped wanting this, because wanting it means we could lose it. The words settled between us, heavy and honest. I swallowed, suddenly aware of how close we were, how easy it would be to lean in, to let emotion decide for us. Instead, my breath trembled. And at the last second, I turned my face slightly away, not rejecting him, only protecting something fragile neither of us knew how to hold yet. The distance between us felt thinner than breath itself. I could still feel the warmth of his hand lingering near my face even after I turned away. Neither of us moved for several seconds. The room held us there, suspended, as if the world had quietly stepped outside and shut the door. He exhaled slowly behind me. Not frustrated. Not impatient. Just tired of pretending. I miss you, he said. The words were soft, almost fragile, yet they landed harder than anything else he could have done. My chest tightened instantly. Not us. Not what we had. Just you. I turned back toward him before I realized I'd decided to. His eyes searched mine carefully, like he was bracing himself for rejection but refusing to look away this time. You live 3 feet away from me, I whispered. That's exactly the problem. His voice carried a quiet ache that pulled something open inside me. Years of polite distance, unfinished conversations, restrained affection, all of it suddenly felt unbearable in the face of such simple honesty. My hand moved without permission, resting lightly against his sleeve. The fabric was warm from his skin. Familiar. Safe. Dangerous. He froze at the contact. Not startled, reverent. His fingers slowly covered mine, not gripping, just holding it there as if anchoring himself. The touch sent a rush through me so sudden I had to steady my breathing. The air between us thickened, charged with everything we had denied ourselves. You stopped reaching for me, I said quietly. His jaw tightened. Because every time I almost did. I thought you didn't want me anymore. The confession hung between us, raw and exposed. I felt the sting of it, how easily silence had rewritten our love into doubt. I never stopped, I admitted, my voice barely more than a breath. I just didn't know how to come back without feeling foolish. His thumb moved gently over my hand. One slow motion. Nothing more. But it felt like crossing a border neither of us had dared approach. He leaned closer, hesitant, giving me time to pull away. I could see every detail of his face now, every familiar line softened by vulnerability. My heartbeat echoed in my ears, loud enough to drown out thought. For a moment, we simply looked at each other. No defenses. No distractions. Just want, and fear, and recognition. His forehead nearly touched mine. The warmth of him surrounded me, close enough that I felt the rhythm of his breathing matching my own. My eyes closed halfway without intention, drawn into the gravity of the moment. Neither of us spoke. Neither of us moved. The silence wasn't empty anymore, it was full, alive, trembling at the edge of something irreversible. And right there, balanced between restraint and surrender, we both knew, one more heartbeat would change everything. The first drop of rain hit the window like a quiet permission. Neither of us moved when it started, but somehow, the sound changed everything. The steady rhythm against the glass blurred the world outside until the room felt like its own universe. Warm lamplight wrapped around us, soft and golden, turning shadows into something gentle instead of distant. His forehead finally rested against mine. The contact was light, barely there, but it sent a tremor through me. My hands rose instinctively, sliding from his sleeve to his shoulders, feeling the warmth beneath the fabric, the steady rise and fall of his breath. He didn't rush. He didn't claim. He simply stayed. I'm done being careful, he murmured. The words weren't reckless. They were tired of restraint. My answer wasn't spoken. It was the way I leaned into him fully this time, closing the last inch between us. My breath melted into his, soft and warm, mingling in the small space we shared. The rain grew heavier, drumming against the windows like a heartbeat we could finally follow. His hands moved slowly, deliberately, not exploring, not demanding, just holding. One settled at my waist, grounding me, while the other traced up my back as if relearning a language he once spoke fluently. Every touch felt like recognition instead of discovery. Years of distance dissolved in the simplest things, the warmth of his chest against mine, the way our breaths fell into rhythm, the quiet sound of my name on his lips like it had always belonged there. I felt the hesitation leave my body, not in a dramatic rush, but in layers. The guardedness in my shoulders softened. The careful space I kept around my heart opened. I wasn't bracing anymore. Outside, thunder rolled low and distant. Inside, our silence grew louder. He pulled back just enough to look at me, rain light flickering across his face. There was no doubt in his eyes now, only intensity, and something tender that made my throat tighten. "I've wanted you every day," he admitted, voice unsteady in a way I had never heard before. My fingers traced the line of his jaw, slow and sure. "Then stop waiting." That was all it took. His lips found mine with a softness that stole the air from my lungs, not urgent, not rushed, but deep with everything we had swallowed for too long. The kiss wasn't about hunger alone. It was about return. About relief. About finally exhaling after years of holding our breath. My hands slid into his hair. His grip at my waist tightened just slightly, pulling me closer until there was no space left between us. Our bodies spoke the words we had been too afraid to say, moving together like memory and desire had always known the choreography. The rain fell harder, cloaking the night in silver streaks. And in that golden-lit room, wrapped in warmth and thunder, we stopped pretending. We stopped holding back. We let go. Morning arrived quietly, without ceremony. Soft light slipped through the curtains, pale and honest, revealing the room exactly as it was, unchanged, ordinary, almost unaware of the storm that had passed through it the night before. The rain had stopped. Only faint droplets clung to the window, catching the sunlight like unfinished thoughts. I woke before him. For a moment, I didn't move. His arm rested loosely around me, heavy with sleep, familiar in a way that felt both comforting and fragile. The warmth between us lingered, not urgent anymore, softer now, deeper. What had happened wasn't loud or reckless. It had been inevitable. And that realization scared me more than anything. I watched his face in the morning light. Peaceful. Younger somehow. As if letting go of restraint had lifted something neither of us realized we carried. My chest tightened with a strange mixture of calm and uncertainty. Was last night love finding its way back? Or were we simply lonely enough to stop resisting? He stirred slightly, eyes opening slowly until they found mine already watching him. For a second, neither of us spoke. No playful comments. No awkward jokes to ease the tension. Just recognition. "Good morning," he said softly. The words felt heavier than usual, as though they held questions neither of us dared ask yet. "Morning," I replied. Silence followed, not uncomfortable, but careful. We both understood that something fundamental had shifted. The distance that once protected us was gone. Now there was only honesty left, and honesty demanded decisions. His hand brushed mine gently, hesitant this time. "Are you okay?" I nodded, though the truth felt more complicated. "I don't regret it." Relief flickered across his face, brief, unguarded. Before either of us could say more, the sharp sound of the doorbell cut through the quiet. We both froze. The ordinary world had returned. He sat up slowly, confusion replacing calm. "Were you expecting anyone?" I shook my head. The bell rang again, more insistent. Wrapped in morning stillness and unresolved emotion, we exchanged a glance, one filled with shared awareness that whatever waited beyond that door belonged to the life we had paused last night. He walked toward the hallway, and I followed a few steps behind, heart beating faster with every footfall. When he opened the door, a young woman stood there holding a small suitcase, eyes nervous but determined. She looked past him, straight at me. "I think," she said carefully, "we need to talk." And suddenly, the night that had brought us closer felt like the beginning of something far more complicated. The young woman stepped inside slowly, clutching her suitcase as though it carried more than clothes. The morning light followed her into the hallway, illuminating uncertainty on all three of our faces. She looked at him first. Then at me. "I didn't know where else to go," she said quietly. Recognition softened his expression instantly. "Sarah," he asked, disbelief mixed with concern. His younger sister. The tension in my chest loosened, though the emotional weight of the moment remained. She explained in fragments, a broken engagement, a sudden decision, a need for somewhere safe until she figured out her next step. Life, unpredictable and messy, had arrived at our door just hours after we had finally stopped running from our own truth. He welcomed her without hesitation. And as I watched him take her suitcase, offering calm where chaos had followed her, something settled inside me. Last night hadn't been an escape. It hadn't been desperation. It had been recognition of who we were when we stopped pretending distance protected us. The day unfolded gently. Coffee brewed. Curtains opened wider. Conversations moved carefully around what had happened between us, yet the silence no longer felt heavy. Every glance carried warmth instead of doubt. Every accidental brush of hands felt intentional. Later, when Sarah rested in the guest room, the apartment fell quiet again. He found me standing by the window, sunlight warming my shoulders. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Words suddenly felt unnecessary. He stepped closer, slower this time, not uncertain, just respectful of the fragile new space we were building together. His hand slipped into mine naturally, as if it had always belonged there. "No running this time," he said softly. I turned toward him, studying the honesty in his eyes. There was no dramatic promise, no grand declaration. Just choice. Every day. "I don't want perfect," I replied. "I want real." A faint smile touched his lips. He leaned forward and rested his forehead against mine, the same quiet closeness that had begun everything, but now steadier, calmer. His lips brushed my forehead, warm and grounding, sealing something deeper than passion. Outside, life moved on, cars passing, voices drifting, sunlight stretching across ordinary streets. Inside, peace settled slowly between us. Not loud. Not overwhelming. Just two people choosing each other again, without fear this time. And as his hand tightened gently around mine, I realized the most intimate thing we had shared wasn't the night we let go, it was the morning we decided to stay.